Welcome to the Saturday Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Tom McManus is with me here on a Saturday afternoon where we'll be discussing the half-times in the Scottish Premiership. We'll bring you the full-time reports and reaction from managers and players. We'll also look back at the Championship. Congratulations to Dundee. They are the title winners and they'll be heading back to the Premiership next season. As far as half-time across the Scottish Premiership, well, there are some very, very important games, especially for league positions and of course the battle to avoid the playoff or relegation. Let's look first of all to Dingwall. Ross County, can Malky Mackay's side provide the great escape? We're about to find out what happened in the first 45 minutes. Ross County Livingston with Adam Binney.
Half time here at the Global Energy Stadium in Dingwall. It's Ross County 1, Livingston 0. Alex Shakovity getting the goal, which could be enormous for the Staggies' survival bids. But Livingston probably started the better of the two sides, had more of the ball controlling the match, but didn't really create any chances other than a snapshot from Anderson round about the 20th minute mark. But in the 28th minute, they were dealt a big warning sign. In the 38th, it was a short corner played to Young Dander, who puts in a mean delivery. He sends it and it looks as though it's going, and I'm not sure if it's come off the post or perhaps the head of Simon Murray on the line, but it was a chance that you thought Ross County were going to score from there, and that dealt a warning to Livingston not to allow Dander time to cross. But 2 minutes later he had the exact same opportunity, this time from a deep free kick played back to Jan Dander, sends in another fantastic cross, and there it's there right on the head of Alex Shakovity. Glances it into the far left corner to give his side the lead. And as it stands at the time of recording this could be huge, because Ross County are the only side in the bottom four currently winning their match. It's half time here in Dingwall. It's Ross County 1, Livingston 0.
Ross County getting that all-important goal. Jakoviti's header at a point where I think the Livingston manager David Martindale will be unhappy at the marking in it.
Yeah, he will be. I think it was poor marking in the box, and he's got a free header in there. And David Martindale will be, raging at half-time. It looks as if Livingston, have just come off the gas a little bit. They look as if they're safe in the league. But for Ross County, that was a must-win game. It is a must-win game. We spoke about it yesterday, Peter. They've got to win today. And you look at the way the league's sitting just now, if results stay the same and there's a second half to go, there'll be 1 point separating the bottom three, so they need to hang on to this win.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about elsewhere? Well, here's a quick summary of what's happening in the Scottish Premiership. As well as Ross County 1, Livingston 0. It's Hibs 2, St Mirren 0. A goal there from Johan and Fish. The difference between the two sides. Hibs certainly building on their impressive performances and trying to get to that third position and maybe defy Hearts and get the bragging rights in the city. What about Motherwell against Kilmarnock? It's just one goal. Blair Spittle's got it against Kilmarnock, so Motherwell with that all-important goal. And elsewhere, it's St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 0. So, nip and tuck, first half, people starting to draw conclusions, but I think there's a few twists and turns ahead, Tam.
Yeah, there is a big second half ahead, Peter. I think obviously for Hibs, they look as if they're on the way to 3 points. They would pull within 1 point of Hearts, for that fourth place. Ross County, as we said, they need to go and try and win that game, and close that gap at the bottom. And Dundee United play, I think they're at home to Ross County next week, so there's some big games at the bottom. Kilmarnock's still in there. Kevin Van Veen had another goal chopped off in the first half. It would have made it 2-0 and probably game over, so they're still in that. So it's a real big 45 minutes. I think that league table will probably change a couple of times before the end.
Yeah, I was going to say to you, because you're wondering to yourself, can the experienced managers somehow get that little bit extra out of them? Malky will be turning round to the Ross County players and saying, look, keep it tight at the back, protect the 1 goal advantage, and then try and wait and see if we can snatch another one, because that really would put the cat among the pigeons for me.
Listen, I think that Ross County have got to win that game. They've got to hold on. I think if they go 2-0, I think that it's game over. I don't think Livingston will come back. But as long as it's 1-0, I've been down there myself a few times. You're very nervous. One mistake, one deflection, whatever, you're losing 2 points. So Ross County need to hold on to that. If they do, it's going to be very, very tight at the bottom.
Yeah, what about the Hibs at Easter Road? Kerry Pollock is there.
Half-time here at Easter Road, Anti-Brennan lead by 2-0. They opened the scoring pretty early on after Ella Yuan took advantage of a Saints throw-in. Marcus Fraser lost the ball in the middle of the park, and Yuan was quick to react as they nicked the ball away from Fraser and charged towards the St Mirren goal to slot it comfortably into the back of the net. The second goal then came from Will Fish's header at the back post. That's his first goal since February and his third of the season overall. David Marshall hasn't been challenged too much, St Mirren really failing to threaten the Hibs goal at all in this first 45. But as it stands here in Edinburgh at the break, it's Hibs 2, St Mirren 0.
Yeah, seems to be a bit of calamitous defending from St Mirren. They're all over the place, but I'll tell you, Lee Johnstone won't be caring about that. He's announced Brian McDermott in. There's going to be a big push to try and give him another transfer window to change this side yet again. So that's a good first half for them.
It is. But I think it's important that they start the second half well. I think if St Mirren can get the next goal, there'll be a bit of nervousness creeps in at Easter Road. I think Stephen Robertson will go through his team at half time. It's not like them. St Mirren are usually pretty solid at the back, don't give too much away. But Hibs 2-0 up. The next goal could probably be vital for them. If they get it, it's game over. If St Mirren get it, it's game on again. So it's just great to see Kerry at Easter Road and Hibs are actually winning, because she's usually an absolute bogey there.
Yeah,
she's never won when she's reporting Easter Road.
Hang fire. Still time, Tom. Still time. Listen, let's... we surprised you, Tom. Let's go to McDermott Park. Well, we've got two ladies there for us, because not only do we have Claire Kinnear, but she's also talking to Alison McConnell about that first half.
Half time at McDermott Park. We'll go 1-1. Yeah. Okay. Half time at McDermott Park. It's St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 0. That all-important goal coming just moments before half time. I don't know about you, but it felt like everyone was still kind of poised, waiting for the ball to be, back in play, and it was suddenly in the net.
Yeah, it was a strange one. I think Dundee United failed to clear their lines. The ball came in, Charlie Mulgrew's clearance was sclaffed. Stevie May aimed a swing at the ball, he completely miskicked it, and the ball broke to Liam Gordon. He just lashed a low ball into the corner through a ruck of players, and I think there was a brief moment of pause where people were wondering if it was going to go to a VAR check, but the legitimacy of the goal is there, and I think St Johnstone have their noses in front. I thought Dundee United probably started the game looking the more menacing. I think St Johnstone gradually came back into it, and with Ross County in the lead now too, it could be a big afternoon here at McDermott Park.
Do you think that St Johnstone are going to come back in for the second half and play off of that goal and play with the confidence that they are in the lead at the moment?
Yeah, I think they'll desperately try and add to it. I think they'll try and cement the 3 points. I think they'll know that Dundee United still carry a bit of menace in the final third. I think Ian Hark should have done better with a header just inside the first 20 minutes, and I thought Jamie McGrath was a real handful for St Johnstone to cope with in the early stages, so they'll know that there's still menace there, and the only way to be sure of the points, I think, is another goal.
We'll keep you updated at full time and of course get the all-important managers' reactions. Half time here at McDermott Park at St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 0.
There's nothing worse than going to them early when they don't expect it. I like it. Is it 1-1? I like a wee bit of what's happening here? You, not me. That was good, Tom. I like a wee bit of that. But anyway, we got
Alex a wee haircut as well.
Yeah,
fringe down there.
Absolutely.
It's looking well.
I don't know about you, but the PLZ team are going crazy when it comes to haircuts. We've had Shirley Temple for Adam, and now a friend.
Like Cheryl Cole there, wasn't it?
Exactly. Listen, let's not talk about haircuts. You and I have had some howlers over the years. Hi to Norman, hi to Stuart as well, Brian, Thomas Lee, lots of people, Johnny, William Smith always joins us, and I have to say, a lot of people asking, and I might mention it here, and I'll just try and get it. It's a lot of people asking if they're going to be involved in the Predictor next season. We're going to get that whole thing on the platform, on the app. That's going to be a belter, isn't it?
I think that'd be brilliant. I think it'd be great for the viewers, the listeners to tune into that and try and beat us.
Yeah.
I think it wouldn't be hard to beat Hugh this season, who's been deplorable.
Yeah.
Because he never backs Rangers to win. But listen, I think that it'd be great to see if they can beat us, because I think us three in particular have had decent scores this year. Yeah, absolutely. Rab is the man who's been asking, will we get pundits and predictors? Listen, there was a late kick-off at Fir Park, so let's get the half-time report on that from Patrick Mullen.
Half-time here at Fir Park, and it's Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 0. It was the best possible start for Motherwell, who took the lead in just the 4th minute. All started down the left-hand side. James Furlong's taken the ball. Instead of playing it across the face of goal, he's cut it back, and there is Blair Spittle, who's just inside the box, who slashes the ball home into the bottom right-hand corner to give Motherwell the lead. This game was electric in the first 10 minutes, but it became a bit stop-starty. Kevin Clancy's whistle is 100% working. He was whistling every single foul, allowing neither side to really gain any momentum. Kilmarnock have been brought in the final third, and Derek McGuinness has been writing a long list to tell his players at half-time. But half-time here at Fir Park, and it's Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 0.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin Clancy whistle happy, according to Patrick. It's the last thing you want. It's the last thing Derek McInnes wants, because he needs to try and pull something. Again, we're talking about managers with experience trying to get something out of the team to convince them that they can escape this.
Yeah, listen, Kilmarnock obviously we've not been poor this season away from home, but a great result against St Mirren a couple of weeks ago. So they went into that game against Motherwell confident they could get something, but Motherwell have been playing really well under Stuart Kettlewell. Great result at Parkhead the other week. And I think as someone that's been down there before, you come in at half time and you can't help but ask what the other scores are. And I think when the Kilmarnock boys and the Dundee United boys hear that Ross County are winning, you think to yourself, we need to get back out here and get something out of this game today. So it remains to be seen if they can both do that. But for Kilmarnock at 1-0, you're always in the game. Like Ross County, I think if it goes 2-0, then I think it's game over. But at 1-0, Kilmarnock will still fancy their chances to get maybe a point out of the game. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So to wrap, we will be doing a predictor next season where everybody can get involved, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. We'll have monthly prizes. I wonder if we'll have weekly prizes as well, Tam. I'll see where the budget goes with that. Monthly prizes would be good. Certainly the manager of the month. Manager of the month.
Yeah.
Whoever gets the most points in a month gets a prize.
And then, I think that's a good shout. Do you know?
Yes,
and then the end of season, whoever wins it's going to get a good prize.
Whoever wins it can come for a night out with us.
You've got to get a good price, Tom. That's par for the course. Even
we can have a choice. You can come in for a night out, or they can have like
a good prize.
A signed strip from someone.
Listen,
or something.
To be honest with you, Tom, even losers come out for a night out with us, so I wouldn't worry about that. Thomas Bartley says, so what about Dundee last night? Well, the second half's going on. If there's a game anywhere, then I will tell you. But I have to say to you, it was absolutely incredible watching it, Tom. And at one point, I have to tell you, as I'm sitting watching the game, my wife says to me, I'm going to the toilet, I'll be back in a minute, and that was 1-0 to Dundee. By the time she'd come back, it was 2-1 to Queen's Park, and it just went like that non-stop.
Yeah, I didn't see the game. I was busy last night. I was out working, but I seen the highlights of the goals when I came in last night. Some unbelievable goals. The boy for Queen's Park, the volley into the top corner.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great defending for both teams, but it was one of those games, Peter. Queen's Park had to win. So Owen Coyle, as we both know, he's a very attacking manager.
Oh, he never stopped shouting.
He never stopped shouting, and they're always going to attack. And there was 5-3, great for the viewers watching it, and I'm delighted for Dundee. If there's any Dundee fans tuning in, listen, I think they should be in the Premier League, and if they can stay in the league and Dundee United can, obviously they come up and Dundee United can stay in the league, then I think that enhances your top flight. Dundee Derby's a great game. There's always been some great games over the years.
I'm glad you said that, Tom, because I thought I was going to take it in the neck, because I really do want a Dundee Derby back.
Yeah, you want that, and you want an Edinburgh Derby and an Old Firm Derby. It helps to sell the product as well, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going to sell games and season tickets. So, no, I think it's great for Dundee. It's great for the city that two teams are back in the Premier League. Hopefully, if Dundee United can stay up. Yeah, Matt says a night out with Hugh McDonald sounds a hoot. Well, the reason why it's so great for us is because he drives everybody home. He is. He drugs teetotal now, and he's teetotal. He's finishing last in the predictor, so he's got to treat us all to a meal and drinks. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Luckily, Shuggles has got plenty to do. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an absolute belter of a night out as we get ever closer to the end of the season. Incidentally, if you do get a chance, don't forget that we've launched our latest one-to-one with Scott Brown, and it's out yesterday, and it's well worth watching. Scott Brown talking about his managerial career now in the early stages of that, also mentioning Ange Postecoglou's Celtic side winning the title at Tynecastle. Of course, he was part of the Invincible side as well, and he's been talking about Barry Robson up there at Aberdeen, his old teammate and friend, and he's absolutely delighted for him as well. So it's good stuff. Here's a wee sample of Scott obviously talking about Celtic possibly winning the title in Edinburgh. If you're looking at it, you won the treble, you won it at Tynecastle. They're on the verge of at least putting the second part of the jigsaw in place by getting over the line, winning the title at Tynecastle on Sunday.
Yeah, won at Tynecastle before, and it's a fantastic stadium, it's a fantastic ground as well, and to go and win the treble, I don't know how many fans they're letting in. 1,200. They're letting 1,200 in. But it'll be exciting for them. They will go there, and obviously they're going to be full of confidence. But if they don't win it at Tynecastle, they could always win it at Ibrox.
Yeah, absolutely. Which
with no fans.
With no fans, it would be. I have to say, Cal will be professional about it, but it's the one thing that you would have loved: no fans to go and win the title at Ibrox. That's right up your street, isn't it?
That would have been lovely. I think that's probably the only thing that I really missed, and see these big games and playing in them.
well worthy of your viewing on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Even if you're a neutral, there's some really good stuff with him, and he's in absolutely top form, and you can tell that he misses the noise up. It's the one element of him now as a manager. He's changed. He's got to try and get the best out of players instead of being in charge of his own destiny.
Yeah, I think he'll miss it. That's the thing I miss most, Peter, about playing football, being a professional as a dressing room. You know, that banter you get in first thing in the morning. You know, you're slaughtering people's clothes. You know, you're going to train. It's great. I loved all that, and I think that's what Bruno will be missing. He's still obviously involved in it with being a manager, but you can't have the same banter with the players as a manager. You know, you've got to kind of distance yourself and be professional in that way. But he'll miss that. He'll miss the dressing room banter. He's obviously just went straight from a player, basically being a manager. So he's still involved in the game. But no, he's in great form there, and he's done well with Fleetwood this season. They're kind of be up and down. They drew a lot of games, but you know, I think they're mid-table, and I think you'll learn a lot. It was a big job for him, you know, to go into. He had a lot of experience in coaching, you know, so it was a big gamble for him to go down there. But he's done well this season. He had a good run in the FA Cup. And listen, I think the ultimate goal for Scott as a manager will probably be to get back to Celtic one day, which should probably speak about in an interview.
He does indeed, yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be his ultimate aim, you know, and he's got to learn his trade first. He's got to go to Fleetwood and work his way up, and maybe go to a bigger club in England, and then if he keeps continuing to do well, then I think it'll be inevitable that he ends up back at Celtic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's well worth watching Scott Brown, that one-to-one interview. If there's a goal anywhere, we'll keep you right up to date with it. Of course, let's not forget today in the Scottish Premiership, Hibs are 2-0 up on St Mirren. Motherwell a goal up on Kilmarnock. Ross County leading by a goal to nil against Livingston, and St Johnstone 1-0 up against Dundee United. Could be a few twists and turns along the way, so keep it locked here to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you do hit the bell, you'll get all the notifications of our unique video content as well. In the English Premier League, I can tell you it's Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1. Manchester City are 2-0 up on Leeds United, which might be some people calling for the manager's head at Leeds United. He's only one game into it, you know, but nevertheless, that's the way the English Premier League's going at the moment. Tottenham Hotspur leading Crystal Palace by a goal to nil, and Wolves 1 up on Aston Villa. Quite an unusual one, that. Liverpool against Brentford's the 5:30 kick-off, but when you look at it, it's a tall order for Leeds to try. When you see the run-in, it's a tall order for them to try and get something out of Man City today. But you know, you're looking at Sam Allardyce, you're saying he's cocky, he's confident, he's going to put a bit of fight into them, that's for certain.
Yeah, well, listen, I think there's 4 games left. I think today they're away to Man City, and then the next game they're at home to Newcastle. You know, so you're playing against 2 of the top 3, and then I think they play maybe West Ham. I think that'll be the game they're targeting, or Bournemouth, one of those 2, and then they're away to Spurs. So, listen, Big Sam will be just targeting the last 2 games. I don't think you'll get anything out of Newcastle at home, Man City away, and it could be that they lose every game and still stay up. You know, they're sitting outside it at the minute. And every point's a prisoner down there, and he could get away with that. But listen, he's got 4 games to save them, and if he does that, he's going to get a big pot of money.
Yeah.
I think it's £2.5–3 million for 4 games, no bad work. So if he can pick up, I think 1 win, he might keep them safe.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 1-win potential. Man City today 2-0 up, so that's not going to change, I don't think. Home to Newcastle, away to West Ham, and at home to Tottenham. So there's your 4 games. So it's a difficult run, and of course I just get the feeling, I hope that, and I'm going to be unbelievably patriotic about it, I hope Davy Moyes has got enough in the tank to get West Ham to safety as well, because they could end up winning the Europa Conference League as well as escaping relegation. They've got Manchester United tomorrow, and then over and above that they're away to Brentford, at home to Leeds, and away to Leicester.
Yeah, that's a tough run in as well, but listen, as I said, every point's a prisoner. West Ham will be targeting that Conference League. I think they're the favourites to win it now. Fiorentina might maybe standing away in the final, but you know, for him to keep them up and maybe win a European trophy for the first time in a number of years, then I think it would be an excellent season for David Moyes. And he's been on the brink a couple of times this season, Peter, of must-win games, and he's always won them. I still think they maybe need a win for somewhere to keep themselves safe, but nah, I think they should be okay.
Yeah, I can tell you it's Ross County now 2-0 up against Livingston, and now can you hear it, Tom? Can you hear the theme to The Great Escape? Because Big Malky has got them all digging tunnels.
Yeah, he has, and listen, that is a massive result for them. I think that should be enough to get them 3 points. Livingston, you know, the manager will never admit that they've took the foot off the pedal and they're looking towards their holidays, but I think they are at the minute. I think that result dictates that. Ross County needed the points more than them today, and that's evident in the result so far. So Dundee United back in it, Kilmarnock back in it if they both lose. There's a point separating the bottom three, so it's going to be a really exciting end to the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex Samuel scoring that goal for Ross County to make it 2-0. Stay with us, because as it twists and turns and there's excitement and of course no shortage of drama, we will keep you up to date with that. Also, we want to refer back to the Championship last night. I thought it was brilliant, Dundee coming back up. What did you make of that? And can Queen's Park somehow muster just that little bit more to try and get themselves through the playoffs and eventually take on the second bottom? I can tell you, Dundee United, by the way, just a quick one here, are up against it. Charlie Mulgrew's got a red card. They're down to 10 men. That really does put the cat among the pigeons for them, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a disaster for them. That is a disaster, and I think it's a last man tackle where he's brought the man down, and it looks as if it was a red card. He's been given the red card, so no, listen, that's a big blow for Dundee United. I think St Johnstone should have enough now to go and win the game, and it was just, I think, he's just caught out his lack of pace here, Charlie, at the back. Yeah,
that is a big blow for Dundee United. I think the unfortunate thing about it is, you know, when you've got VAR, you're hoping that it might do you a turn on a situation like that, but I think Charlie's been given his marching orders, and I don't think there's any way back for him. Ronnie Chapman says, Peter, can you get a shout out there to Owen Clark? Yep, we always like to say hello to people, maybe people who are hitting that subscribe button and joining the football family. If you have enjoyed our content over the course of the season, don't forget to tell your friends. You can like, share, and of course follow us as well. We always like to throw in no shortage of opinion and of course exclusive interviews, lots of good fun content as well, and a quiz question to boot. And here it is, on the basis of Dundee securing the title last night. How many times have Dundee won the Championship in their history?
Oh,
it's a belter of a question, Tam, isn't it? You want to have a guess?
5.
5 for Tam. What do you think? How many times have Dundee won the Championship to return to the top flight? Give us your thoughts on that. We'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. And incidentally, if you are just joining us for the first time, don't forget that as we head towards the full time, we'll get the reports and we get managers and players interviews at the end of the programme and across all our social media, so it's well worth staying with us. Of the other matches, I drove past John Rankin today, just gave him the big shout, you know, I've got a tenner on you to escape. They got a 0-0, so they are in the playoff place. Cove Rangers relegated.
Yeah, they are. It was a dramatic night in the Championship, wasn't it? I think at one point, you know, Cove Rangers were safe and it was Hamilton that were getting relegated. But Morton managed to get that late winner, with 10 men.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Cove Rangers have only got themselves to blame. You know, you're playing against 10 men at home, you need a point.
There was a wee danger that it might not have finished, as such was the fog coming.
Yeah, the fog. I think that was the one that killed them. Obviously, Morton needed to win to try and get in the playoffs. Unfortunately for any Morton fans, they missed out in the playoffs in goal difference, which is a sickener over the course of the whole season. So, no, Cove Rangers have only got themselves to blame. I think you know, Paul Hartley's come in to try and save them. I think it was a mistake to get rid of Jim McIntyre so early. I think it was a mistake. I think
there's been a lot of mistakes with boardrooms, isn't there?
Yep, he had them relatively safe. Jim McIntyre and Paul Hartley came in, who had a nightmare at Hartlepool, and they're relegated as well. So it's the first time probably I can remember, unfortunately for Paul, that he's relegated 2 teams in one season.
Yeah, it's one of those quiz questions, isn't it?
Not one you want to know.
It's one that we'll probably have the next couple of weeks, actually. No, I mean, I've got a lot of time for Paul. He's one of those guys that was a really good player at Hibernian, St Johnstone, Celtic, Hearts, and of course for Scotland as well. Some brilliant performances, but he'll have to try and get a budget together to get Cove back after climbing the leagues there. It certainly was a positive message around Cove Rangers, but now they're going down a division and they're going to have to work their way back. What about elsewhere in that division? Well, suddenly that Raith Rovers 2, Partick Thistle 2 and Ayr United's win up at Inverness. I don't think too many people would have looked at that. I think they maybe have thought Ayr United against Inverness, Billy Dodds has got them flying for the cup final. They might have been able to get themselves into the playoff, but it just wasn't to be. Have a look at that table and this is how it all finished.
Yeah, listen, I think that it was the only club in the whole division that had nothing to play for were the Raith Rovers, and they managed to get a point against Partick Thistle, so it just shows you that players don't down tools. You know, if you're on it and you play well and you're trying, you can get a result. Partick Thistle scrape in the playoffs with the skin of their teeth and goal difference. And Ayr United had to go to Inverness and win to get in the playoffs, which is a massive result for them. And I think they scored with a couple of minutes to go. One of my former clubs, Ayr United, and Lee Bullen well as well. I'm really delighted that they're in the playoffs. There's another club that I'd love to see back in the Premier League. I don't know how long it's been since Ayr United were in the Premier League.
Yeah,
it's probably over 30 years, 40 years.
I seem to remember. I think
maybe the 80s.
I think Walker McCall was playing
90s,
for them.
Yeah, maybe 80s, 90s. So there's another potential derby, Ayr United v Kilmarnock.
Yeah.
You know, so these are the clubs that you want in the derby games, the big rivalries, and they've got every chance. And crucially for Ayr United, they finished second last night, and that gives them a little bit extra rest whilst the third place team batter horns with the fourth place team over 2 legs.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very difficult for Partick Thistle in Queen's Park now.
Robert says Ruffy predicted it. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Ruffy is going to be nervous for the next few days, because suddenly Tuesday night takes on huge importance. It's going to be Partick Thistle against Queen's Park. We'll have our man Patrick Mullen out there covering that game for us and bringing you all the latest. I can tell you there's a goal for St Mirren. And it's now Hibs 2, St Mirren 1. That's something you suggested could really make it a nervy one.
I did listen to the next goal in that game, if I was going to be one, was always going to be crucial, and St Mirren are back in the game. You know, having played at Easter Road for 8 years, I know how nervous the fans can get if you're 2-0 up or 3-0 up and cruising, and all of a sudden the other team scores. There's a bit of nervousness goes right around the stadium. So St Mirren will throw everything at Hibs now, and it's up to Hibs to be resilient, maybe try and nick one in the break to kill the game, or see the game out. But St Mirren definitely back in it now.
Yep, absolutely. So 2-1 in that game. If there's a goal anywhere across, Alex Grieve incidentally scored that goal for St Mirren to make it 2-1. If there's a goal anywhere in the Scottish Premiership, we'll keep you up to date with it. You can throw some opinions at us as well, and we'll read out some names as well. If you've got anybody you want to say hello to, we'd be more than happy to mention that. And of course, anything that's bugging you in Scottish football, we'll get your thoughts on it too, and we'll offer you our tuppence worth as well. And with that in mind, we're looking at Tuesday, and then I think it's Friday for the return leg, Queen's Park against Partick Thistle, and then all of a sudden the winner of that then goes into another playoff match against the Championship side, which is, you know, it is tough, because you're then looking and saying to yourself, can you get one stage further again to play against the Premiership side?
Yeah, I think it's very tough for the third place team, fourth place team, Peter. I think you're going to have to play 6 games in a relatively short period of time after a 36 game season. You know, and players are going to be tired. You know, and Thistle, Queen's Park, nothing separates them in the league.
Yep.
You know, maybe a point or two separates them in the league. It's going to be a real battle over 2 legs, and then you win that. You know, you're back in again the following Tuesday, Friday, and then you've got maybe a Kilmarnock or a Ross County or a Dundee United who's just sitting fresh, maybe a week's break, and we get into the playoffs. So it's difficult for them. So that's why United winning last night gives them a wee bit extra opportunity to go up.
Yeah, and with that in mind, with the 3 teams there, who do you think is best placed in your mind just at this point to make a good run to get through to the big playoff final?
I don't think it's Queen's Park.
No,
I think they'll be gutted a bit last night. I think they had it in their hands at one point. I think they were 2-1 up. They had it in their hands. I think it's hard to come back for that mentally when you're that close to going up. You know, and you think to yourself, we've got maybe potentially 6 games to play. After being 2-1 up in a title decider. So I would completely rule out Queen's Park of going up. Partick Thistle, Ayr United. See, to be honest with you, Peter, I don't see the Championship team troubling the second bottom team. I think there's still a bit of a gap there.
Yeah.
I think the only one I could maybe see which would be great for Scottish football would be Kilmarnock versus Ayr United in the final. You know, for relegation and promotion, that would be fantastic over 2 legs. But I think a Kilmarnock or a Ross County or Dundee United would take care of an Ayr United or a Thistle. Yeah,
Johnny says grass pitches only in the Scottish Premiership is a must. Johnny, I cannot disagree with you. I think if they were looking and everybody's assessing and having a conference together in the Scottish Premiership of how you take the game forward, apart from obviously just having a word with some chairman and chief executives about how petty they are, I think over and above that they should turn around and say, look, here are the stipulations for being in the league. I do like David Martindale's comment the other day there about the fact that you would gleefully sacrifice some money to actually get to a situation where you had maybe 16 teams in the league. You still could have that split. You still could have the 4 games, Celtic and Rangers, Hearts and Hibs or whatever, but you would have a little bit of leeway to maybe get a chance to play more Scottish players. But I can tell you something, Tam, we're not playing a lot of Scottish players in the division.
No, and there was obviously a stat that came out a couple of weeks ago which was damning for Scottish football. The amount of Scottish players that have played for Scottish teams this season in the Premier League, it's poor, it's down dramatically from these recent years. So I think something has to be done, whether that's bringing a rule in where you have to play Scottish players or under 21 players, you've got to play a certain amount. Yeah. Which I don't think managers would be too keen on.
I don't think that works, Tam.
Because I think you're forced into maybe.
It's almost like a restriction on people's employment chances.
That's not going to happen, but probably the best solution is a 16-team league, bringing another 4 teams up. You've got a bit of leeway. Maybe 2 goes down, or 1 goes down in 1 playoff. You've got a chance to get a bit of breathing space in the league. You're not looking over your shoulder every couple of weeks. And I think that would give managers a better opportunity to blood young players. I use Lee Johnstone for an example all the time. They've got a very, very good youth setup, but he's been under pressure a lot of times this season.
They can't play them.
And he can't play them because his neck's in the line. It's okay saying, you've got to play young boys, and I've been guilty of saying that as well about Lee Johnstone. But if you're looking at it from Lee Johnston's point of view, he's thinking to say, I've got to play my best team, my best players. I can't afford to gamble on a young player. Where if I get beat today, I could potentially lose my job. So no, I think the only opportunity we've got to rectify that is a bigger league.
Yeah, some of the comments on here, and again, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Some people do share a certain view. One of them is, who cares, Scottish players aren't good enough. And he says, I'd love a team of 11 Burkina Faso players if it meant we won trophies. Some people have that attitude. Personally, I don't have that attitude. Robert says, no point in a 16-team league if half of them are bringing plastic pitches. Well, if you want to be in the 16-team league, I'd say if you've got a plastic pitch, you're not making it. Simple as that. Change your pitch.
Yeah, I think clubs would need help financially with that, Peter.
No. It's a business. It's a business, Tam. They changed their pitch to advantage to
how much would it cost to rip up a plastic pitch and put a glass one down? And then the following year they could get relegated and they've got to...
Well, do you want me to tell you something, Tam? If you want to move forward as a top serious division...
I understand that, but Livingston or Kilmarnock depend on that for money.
I don't care. It's not a good argument because most of them switched their pitches in the first place to the Astro. Livingston have got an AstroTurf pitch out on the right hand side of their main pitch as well. Kilmarnock is an AstroTurf pitch.
They're rumoured to be going back to grass.
So for me, I would say you can't do the financial argument. You've got to look at it and say, listen, you want to be part of this division, here are the rules, top flight professional football at the very top, you must have a grass pitch. And from there, if you don't want to be in it, and you want to earn money by hiring out on a Tuesday night, to rank rotten footballers like myself, then fine, on you go. But you're not getting into the top flight. This is for professional people who want to move forward with the game. And I think, look at Motherwell. Yeah, Motherwell took that hit, and they've got one of the best pitches in the country.
Yeah, I think you're right about the Livingston argument with the AstroTurf beside them. I think they could rent that out and make money. So Livingston have got 2 AstroTurf pitches, so probably renting the 2 of them out, and making money out of them. So yeah, listen, I understand you can argue it both ways, but you're right. Listen, I'm not a fan of AstroTurf. I would play in grass all the time. I think having played over in America, as you know, played on an AstroTurf pitch.
You play in the States? Wow, didn't know that. Right, that took me not write that down.
How long is that into the show?
Oof, that's half an hour.
Right, there you go.
That's very unusual.
And it absolutely wrecked my legs. It wrecked my Achilles. It wrecked my joints. I remember I got up in the morning and couldn't walk to the toilet to brush my teeth. My Achilles were goosed. Yeah. And that was just by training on AstroTurf every day. And I don't know if Kilmarnock and Livingston, I'm pretty sure they do train on AstroTurf every day. Some of the boys' legs and joints must be goosed, and particularly when you retire, you're 35, 36, and your joints are gone. So and of course, not great on the body either.
The other thing about it is, Tam, and I bet you, I'm not sure we'll all be around to hear from it, but 30, 40 years from now, someone will be turning around and saying, when are the PFA going to help me with my joints? I've got to get a hip, I've got to get a knee.
I've got to get for 10 years.
Yeah, where's my support here? And everybody will just be silent.
And all the youth players now were brought up in AstroTurf.
Yep.
And I obviously coached down at Braidhurst, AstroTurf.
Yeah.
Motherwell from under 12s right up train on AstroTurf, train other clubs. So
Can I ask you this, Tam? Of the point that you're making about they're all training on it, is the emphasis with you as an SFA coach, I've asked you this before, but I think it's well worthy of asking you again, is the emphasis on players being skillful? Because the one thing that I absolutely love, and we were having a laugh about it in there, one of our journalists, Cheryl, says, Peter, you love sand dancers. I like people in the middle of the park who've got skill, who can beat a player, somebody who's got a trick, and that's the way I was brought up in an era where you could actually see in every team 5 or 6 different players who all had a trick, who were really skillful, great to watch, and I, favourite players, Aberdeen, Gordon Strachan, Dundee United, Paul Sturrock. You know what I mean? You looked at Celtic, you had Davy Provan, who had a trick as well, you had Davy Cooper. These guys all had skill. That's a penny.
Aye, that's unfortunately for us now. The game's moved on. The game's changed.
Well, has it changed? Because I love Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish.
He's probably a throwback, but he's still got to work back the part. He still works hard.
I'm not saying don't work back. I'm saying, for God's sake, he can square anybody up and take them on.
I understand that, but the game's, you look at the top levels now.
Yeah.
And probably Messi's will be a dying breed. He'll be a number 10 once he retires. Do you see another Messi coming? A number 10 who just walks about the pitch, but Messi does.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen, Peter. That's not going to happen. And us at the SFA, we were careful not to coach that out of people. You want individualism. You want people to go and try things and be skillful. It's all technique. It's all technical. We work on. We don't run the boys. It's not physical. Everything's touch, passing. Try to work on technical ability, and that's what you've got to do. But you've got to have the other side of it as well. You've got to be able to work hard. You've got to, when you lose the ball, you've got to react and get it back. That's all part of the modern game as well. But no, I think that teams don't play with inside lefts and inside rights and wingers and number 10s. I think Messi, as I said, I think he'll be the last one you'll see where he gets away with, just because he was so good, that he gets away with walking about and then bang, sparks into life.
Yeah.
You don't see that type of player now.
I'll tell you another player like that, not quite Messi's vein, but and certainly not with the overall skill that Messi had, but I do like the boy Vinicius Junior at Real Madrid. I think he's got a trick and he's got lightning pace. I'd love to have been born, if I wasn't born here, I'd probably love to have been born in Czechoslovakia, where the Czechoslovakian FA said, right, we're going to trap the ball with our arse today. And Lubo Moravcik just said, Mum, I'm not coming back into the house because I'm going to trap the ball with my backside. Aye. And he did it. Do you know what? I think Celtic played Hearts at Celtic Park one day, Tam. They won 2-1. I don't think anybody knows who scored the goals. All they did, the kids went home and said, Dad, he trapped the ball with his backside. It's like the day I was watching a Spanish match, Barcelona, and Ronaldinho made a pass with his back. And he meant it, and you're looking, you're going,
remember.
That's brilliant.
It's just individual skill, and that's what people remember. I was fortunate to play against Lubo Moravcik a few times when he was at Celtic, and I've obviously spoke about the goal he scored against Hibs.
Yeah,
he rocketed it for about 40 yards, and I get slaughtered for Alec McLeish for not shutting him down. When I was about 25 yards away from as if I was going to stop dead.
I should have mentioned that in the commentary. I remember doing it. There's McManus dropping off.
I was supposed to drop into the midfield when Celtic had the ball, but he had it for 40 yards and McLeish slaughtered me. But no, he was a fantastic player. One of the most two-footed players you'll see. He took corners with both feet.
Yeah. You
very rarely see that now in anywhere. And he was such a good player. Was it Hugh Keevins? Was him famously said, why are you signing this old man?
£300,000, nobody.
And that came back to bite him in the backside as well.
Don't worry about it, Tam, we all make mistakes.
That was a big one for Hugh Keevins. He was a tremendous player, great technical ability, and he gave that Celtic team a wee bit of magic dust because they're a big, powerful, physical team. Under Martin O'Neill, he gave them a sprinkle of magic. Yeah, absolutely. And I obviously, because some people that you just absolutely love to interview, and of course he's at his own difficult times, but
commentating and watching and interviewing Paul Gascoigne. Gascoigne was, in the last 30 years, I think, possibly one of the most talented England players I've seen. He was just outrageous, and he was another boy who could stand anybody up and face them up and still beat them with skill, quick feet. Absolutely, an absolute joy, And if you'd have played 10 bob and nutmeg with him, Tam, you'd be about $3,500 in debt.
Yeah, he was some player. We remember him at his peak at Rangers, and who'll forget that last game of the season against that was at Aberdeen when he scored the hat trick. And he's running through by players as if they're not there, and too strong for people. And he's powerful, quick running with the ball, skill, fantastic football. Unfortunately, I was fortunate to play with him at Boston United. At the tail end of his career, and he was finished. And that never dulled his sparkle in terms of I knew how good he was at his peak. But he was 35, 36, and he was finished. But
legs gone. His
legs had totally gone, and it was sad to see. But I remembered him when his times with England and Tottenham and Rangers.
I can tell you at Livingston, the game there, Curtis Guthrie has been sent off for an elbow, red card, and Livingston are down to 10 men, and suddenly starting to look good for Malky.
Yeah, it's looking good. It's looking good for Malky. That should be enough. They should see the last 10-15 minutes out against 10 men. And David Martindale, listen, as I said, they just missed out on the top 6 in the last game of the season, and I think when you miss out like that, it's difficult to get motivated again for the bottom 6.
Yeah.
It happened to me at Hibs, so I think that Livingston, will struggle. I think the teams at the bottom will be targeting Livingston, Dundee United, Ross County.
You think so?
The day Kilmarnock thinking
they're switched off.
You can get 3 points against them. They're in the holiday mode.
Yeah, okay, interesting stuff. I'm sure David Martindale won't be happy with them in holiday mode, but we'll see how it goes. Hibs are up 2-1 up on St Mirren. Motherwell 1 goal up on Kilmarnock at the moment. Ross County 2-0 up in Livingston with a man sent off now. Livy really up against it. St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 0. The way it looks at the moment, Tam, as I'm looking at the league table, I think if it stays like this, suddenly at that bottom, as you mentioned there, Ross County would be on 30, Killie on 31, Dundee United on 31, and St Johnstone, I think, with that cushion, that I think today St Johnstone just go.
Yeah, they pull clear it. I think they pull 5 points clear of the playoffs and 6 at the bottom with 4 games left. It would take a massive collapse and a massive kind of combination of results for them to get back in the mire. I think they need 1 and they're looking as if they're going to get it today against 10 men.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Stephen McLean, is he one of those guys that, like so many others, that suddenly plays himself into contention for the job? I wonder about that. With Motherwell, St Johnstone have got 2 away games against Kilmarnock and Ross County, and then 1 at home against Livingston.
Yeah, that's what I was saying yesterday. They actually got a tough run in. They get Dundee United, who were taking a big support, and then the bottom 2 away from home. So this was a big game for St Johnstone as well, and obviously we know they're trying to sell the club as well. There's probably people in the background who are waiting to come in and buy the club, who'll be waiting to see if St Johnstone are actually going to be a Premier League team, and those talks will probably move faster once their status in the Premier League secure.
Yeah, in the English Premier League, it's Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1 in the final 10 minutes of those matches. Man City 2-0 up in Leeds United. Tottenham Hotspur still leading Crystal Palace by 1-0, and it's Wolves 1, Aston Villa 0, and Liverpool Brentford kicks off at 5:30. Incidentally, in League 1 at the moment, Tam, Alloa 0, Dunfermline 2, and Dunfermline are champions, and congratulations to James McPake. He is the manager of the month in that final month. Clyde 0, Montrose 0, Edinburgh 1, Airdrieonians 4, Peterhead 1, Falkirk 3, and Queen of the South 4, Kelty Hearts 1.
Yeah, I think a lot of in that division, a lot of stuff's been already sorted in terms of playoffs, and I think Peterhead are down, Clyde are in the playoff, Alloa, Falkirk, and Airdrie in the playoffs. So I think most of it was already done, and you maybe see teams resting players today. I think Alloa maybe rested players against Dunfermline. So big games coming up, and it could be a Brian Rice come back to Hamilton. That could be a playoff game.
Yep.
Against John Rankin. And there's some great, potential games coming up in those playoffs, and that's why it makes it so exciting. I love the addition of the playoffs. I wish it was about when I was playing, because it'd have made the season more interesting, and more clubs with something to play for.
Can I just say something? Ilkay Gundogan has missed a penalty for Man City, and Leeds have just got a goal back. It's 2-1. Can I just say something to you? Every Arsenal fan is shouting, "Come on, Leeds!" You know, for the first time in a long, long while. In Scottish League 2, it's Albion Rovers 2, Stirling Albion 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 2, Elgin City 0. Dumbarton are drawing 1-1 with Stranraer, as are Forfar and East Fife 0-0, and there's a draw between Stenhousemuir and Annan, and Brecon City and Spartans is 3-2 at the moment to Brecon City.
So Brecon City would play, I think they would play the Highland, is that the other Highland League champions?
Yeah.
So they would get to play off against the team that finished bottom in League 2?
Yeah.
Which is who at the minute, Albion Rovers?
I'll just tell you now, Tam, because that is an absolute belter of a game that's going on there. Let me see exactly where I have it on my list of things to look at. So in League 2, that table has Peterhead, Clyde and Kelty Hearts in the bottom 3 positions there.
League 2, League 2.
Yeah, have I gone League 1 there? Sorry.
Go League 2 and see who's the bottom in there just now. I think it's Albion Rovers.
Yep, hold on.
I think Albion Rovers would play Brecon.
There it is there. I've finally got it. Albion Rovers are bottom on 39. Elgin are on 40. Bonnyrigg Rose on 42.
Yeah, well, I think as results stand at the minute, Albion Rovers. And Albion Rovers obviously been a club that's been in the Scottish leagues for tons of years, you know, a long, long time. And it's one of them, if they play Brecon and they go down, you might not see them for a while.
Yeah.
You know, it could be another Berwick Rangers, East Stirling, a club who finished bottom in the League 2 for years and years. They've disappeared off the face of the earth in that league and Lowland League. So it's a very, very difficult league to get out of when you consider, you know, your Spartans, your East Kilbride next season, they've all got big money.
We'll keep you
Albion Rovers don't go down there. They could be down there for a while.
Yeah, we'll keep you up to date with that Brecon City Spartans game. It's 3-3 in aggregate, Tam, from the now into the second leg. As far as some of the other things that we were talking about coming up to the end of the season, of course the one thing that dominated the last couple of days was the kick-off time for the Scottish Cup final, which I thought Stephen McGowan, you know, obviously made a point in the Daily Mail today saying, you know, I was quite happy with it. It's one of those days when I'll get the English Cup final and I'll get the Scottish Cup final.
Delighted.
Are you happy as well?
I'm delighted, Peter. That is
5:30.
That is a day for going to if you're not going to the game or whatever. It's a day for going to the pub. You know, watching the Celtic, watching the Man City Man United game, and then watching the Scottish Cup final.
Yeah.
So
you're happy.
I'm delighted. I feel sorry for Inverness fans or maybe Celtic fans, but I don't think it's better that way than going the early kick-off. I feel.
Yeah.
I think 12 o'clock kick-off, people come down for Inverness. I think the Sunday would be harder.
It's unfair.
I think that's unfair. I think 5:30, at least she gives you a wee bit of time.
I hope there'll be later trains put on for them, but if I was an Inverness fan and you're going to Hampden for the Scottish Cup final on June 3rd, if Inverness win, I'd just say to my mate, let's just stay and miss the train and just get absolutely bladdered.
Yes. I think a lot of Inverness fans will be coming down and making a weekend of it, and they're hoping that they can pull off what would be, in my opinion, the greatest upset in Scottish Cup history.
There's a shout.
Maybe I think Darvel in a final.
In a final?
In a final has been a bigger upset in a Scottish final than Inverness beating Celtic.
Well, I think it's certainly a Scottish Cup final.
Celtic, I believe, are 1-25 on with the bookies.
A Scottish Cup final, I think it would be one of the biggest upsets. League Cup final, Partick Thistle 4-1 is definitely up there. But
were Partick Thistle in the same division as Celtic?
Yeah, they were. So it's not as big, you know. I mean, I think
the scoreline obviously was
even more of a shock.
Bigger shock, but.
Yeah,
I think Celtic team who's been all conquering, going for the treble. It's the biggest upset for me.
I don't think anybody's going to argue with you, Tam. I was trying to rack my brain to go back through so many of the cup finals, but I think you've got it. You've nailed it there. And also, Peter and Tam says, William Smith, if my 20-team accumulator comes in, I'll treat the PLZ team for dinner and drinks. Only 19 of the games to go, though.
Hold my breath in, William.
It's a good show.
Let us know when you're doing to your last 8.
Yeah, he's 8. Good going. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's absolutely brilliant. And if we get the predictor next year and people are neck and neck with us, Tam, that's going to be a lot of fun to see. If there's a punter out there who's studying the form, we'll need to put a bit extra effort into it, I think.
There'll be people out there fancying it. and putting a wee bit of effort into it and looking at the stats and all that. We don't particularly look at the stats. We just
you don't.
we just look at it and go, right, who do we fancy?
Was it all skill for you? Just
it's all absolute potluck for me. But no, it'd be great to see them involved in a wee prize for manager of the month every month, and then at the end of the season, whoever wins the actual league should get a big prize. That would come for a night out with us.
Absolutely. Hibs 2, St Mirren 1, Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 2, Livingston 0, St Johnstone still holding on to that 1-goal lead against Dundee United. The game's finished. Alloa 0, Dunfermline 2. So James McPake's side keep on winning. Peterhead 1, Falkirk 3 is full time as well. I did mention Darren Young, who's the Stirling Albion boss. He's manager of the month as well. So we've had both of those guys in the studio, and it just shows you right across PLZ Soccer, we're trying to bring you as many different managers and players in as special guests, and hopefully you're enjoying all our content. We will bring you the full-time scores in the Premiership and reaction from the managers as well. And it's the 10th anniversary. I noticed it this morning. It's the 10th anniversary since Sir Alex Ferguson left Manchester United, and I don't think anybody would have suggested they'll never be near the league title. The closest person to get the league title, do you know who it was? Jose Mourinho.
Was it?
Second, and they absolutely slaughtered them. But Sir Alex, 10 years, and you know how many managers? 8
managers. Who came in after him? Moyes.
He was on a hiding nothing. He was on a hiding.
That was a tough fight to follow.
What made it even worse is he the worst chief executive ever in. That's like Adam. David Gill had gone, and in came Woodward, and it just was a nightmare.
That's like Adam presenting the show after you.
Well,
they shouldn't really do it.
Well, to be fair,
fact to follow.
To be fair, I think you're. Actually, do you want me to tell you something? I think Adam does a great job, and he'll be raging you've slaughtered him. No, I love him. I love him in the seat. He'll be doing more and more of that, Adam, because he loves being in the hot seat here. And of course, the only thing he doesn't love, Shyness, is that skill, strike. Livingston,
I need to turn
the challenge.
I do that with 12-year-olds and getting out the codes. I need to get in.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's S1s, 12-year-olds who would do it better than him.
I'll tell you, it was a great day with David Martindale gave his access all areas for that.
I was talking to you, we were at a table the other night, his wife was there.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was at dinner the other night at Tynecastle and his wife was there, and myself and Tam Cowan were speaking to her, and she said it was a great day. I think she said that Adam or you wanted them to get into the house at 7 in the morning.
Yes.
You'd have picked him up.
Yes.
She was like, no chance, I'm getting up and going to my work. Listen, I think she realises as well that he's got a shelf life at Livingston.
Yes.
And I think she was quite keen on the thing of the game away, but maybe striking when the iron's hot and maybe getting a move, but you need somebody to come in for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
As of now, I don't think there's been anyone who's actually come in and gave him the option to leave Livingston, and I think if that ever happens, then I think he would probably take it. But you know, as far as it goes now, he's doing a good job at Livingston. Well,
he was great to us, and the whole Livingston Football Club were great to us. And you know, you try your best. I just wanted to have the camera just at the bottom of the bed, and wee Davy pops his head out, and then the coffee and the tea are ready, you know. But if she didn't want it to happen, she doesn't want it to happen. She's actually, to be fair, we just said, look, we'll meet you outside as soon as you come out at 7:30, and off we jolly well followed him all through the day. It was brilliant. It really is a good interview, and I'll tell you, great, because the amount of managers that have said to me they can't believe that we got that access, and Davey was so open and brilliant, and I think it's a good watch for anybody who hasn't seen it.
No, it is, it's brilliant. As I said, you rarely get that. You know, going into a dressing room, he's basically explaining the full day, you know, how he gets up in the morning, he travels to training, how he sets up training, you know, his other coaches, what they do, recovery after training, tactics on a Saturday. You know, you get absolute open all access, and I think that was great for the viewers to see, you know, what it entails to be a Premier League manager. And you know, a lot of managers do similar. You know, your Jim Goodwins or Derek McInnes will all have a similar regime where they got up and they set up training and all that. But it was great to have a peek inside the dressing room, which you rarely get as a punter.
I'd love to have a peek inside the dressing room at Chelsea's dressing room right now, because as they're heading up the tunnel, they'll be thinking, wow, what do we do? Do we celebrate? We're 3-1 up.
Fancy them a day, Peter. They were due a result. They were poor in the first half. I thought they played really well in the second half against Arsenal, and you could see there was a wee bit of fight back in it, and you know, they've took a lot of criticism, so I'm not a Chelsea fan by any means, but I think that's a big result for him.
It's fantastic for Frank Lampard because
he's been getting dogs abuse. I don't think he's won a game as a manager in the boot.
Well, to be fair, it's not his fault. There's a whole team of people playing in a Chelsea strip who are cheating the fans, and we've seen that a million times, and we've seen it at Chelsea. They have a history of it, downing tools when they don't like the manager or they don't like what they're being asked to do, and it doesn't help sometimes if you get a manager sacked too early. And I think right now we're looking at the Scottish Premiership. Hibs 2, St Mirren 1, Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 2, Livingston 0, and St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 0. And I think Stephen Fletcher hit the bar and had a great chance moments ago that could have drawn them level, and that really would have been a vital point for them. But the way things are looking at the moment, suddenly Ross County have stepped up to the plate and asked big questions of everyone now. It's really getting to the real squeaky bum time because Malky, as I thought he would, is putting a fight on.
Yeah, I think you look at Ross County, who were 4 points behind at one point, written off. Dundee United, 4 points behind at one point, written off. You know, and it just takes one result like that today. Ross County, 4 points behind, they win a result and the other two teams get beat, which is looks as if it's going to happen. And all of a sudden, 4 points behind and looking doomed, you're 1 point behind and you're game on. And Dundee United play Ross County at home next week, which is a colossal game, a massive game for both clubs. And be interested to see how that goes on. But Stephen Fletcher very unlucky there not to get Dundee United level. And St Johnstone have been a wee bit fortunate the last couple of games. You know, they've played 10 men against Hibs for the full second half.
Yeah.
And they've played against 10 men again at home for basically the full second half. So they've had a wee bit of luck going for them with a couple of decisions. And looking back at the Charlie Mulgrew, I think it's pretty harsh. I think it was somebody covering as well, and the Hibs decision get rescinded. So sometimes you need that wee bit of luck as a manager, and Steve McLean's definitely got that.
Yeah. Big thanks to Danny, who says he reckons at the end of the cup final he'll see me at the top of the Trom Gate celebrating. I don't think so, Danny. Just basically because I don't think I'd climb up the top of the Trom Gate. I'd never get up there.
Where's the Trom Gate, the bars?
Yes, it's where all the
Squirrel Bar.
It's where all the dafties go.
One of the dinner ladies at Braidhurst used to work the Squirrel Bar.
Not the dafties going to the Squirrel Bar, just that whole area. I mean, can you imagine if you were a fan of any team thinking, let's go to an area which is really enclosed and it's going to be claustrophobic and they're all going to be mental and there'll be flares going off everywhere. You know, I don't think I'd like to be there. Listen, as far as it's looking at the moment, it's a big win for Ross County. That game is over, and Ross County have won by 2-0. We'll hear from Adam Binney on the 90 minutes and beyond, and we'll get the thoughts of Malky Mackay and also David Martindale. Hibs 2, St Mirren 1 is a full time as well, so that's a good win for Lee Johnson.
It is out for the IBs.
Yeah.
Pools Hibs 1 point behind Hearts. Hearts got a difficult game, as we know, tomorrow against Celtic. Aberdeen, hard game against Rangers. So that was a must-win game for Hibs to keep their European hopes alive, and they've managed to do that. And listen, with both Hearts and Aberdeen still to play, you know, that's a massive result for Hibs.
Yeah, you're looking at it now, and Hibs are on 47 points, Tam.